supposed to cough on you then. How's that? Asshole. Let's go.
Our data is transparent. In fact, Dr. Birx has talked multiple times about how Florida has the absolute best data. So any insinuation otherwise is just typical partisan narrative trying to be spun. And part of the reason is that because you got a lot of people in your profession who waxed poetically for weeks and weeks about how Florida was going to be just like New York. Wait 2 weeks, Florida's going to be next. Just like Italy, wait 2 weeks. Well, hell, we're 8 weeks away from that, and it hasn't happened. Not only do we have a lower death rate, well, we have way lower deaths generally, we have a lower death rate than the Acela Corridor, DC, everyone up there. We have a lower death rate than the Midwest, Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio. But even in our region, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida has the lower death rate, and I was the #1 landing spot from tens of thousands of people leaving the #1 hot zone in the world to come to my state. So we've succeeded, and I think that people just don't want to recognize it because it challenges their narrative, it challenges their assumption, so they got to try to find a boogeyman. Maybe it's that there are black helicopters circling the Department of Health. If you believe that, I got a bridge in Brooklyn I'd like to sell you.
Last question.
So here we see Italy, and like most of Northern Europe, it's in the Northern Hemisphere temperate region, we get a hump in late winter. And the USA is very similar, and then a fall off. Interestingly, Peru and Brazil look very different. They're in the Southern Hemisphere tropical area, and have a very different mortality curve, deaths per million. And very interesting in terms of lockdown is, Peru did a hard lockdown, well documented, way back in March, so they were way ahead of the curve. Brazil, quite controversially and famously, their president overturned the lockdown back in March, and they've been criticised greatly. Very interesting to observe though that their deaths per million, shape of curve and everything, is practically the exact same as Peru. So lockdown doesn't seem to explain anything here. Let's look a little further. This is a superb book, I've put a link below. Edgar Hope Simpson, a doctor and researcher who set up the first influenza-like illness transmission laboratory in the UK in the 1930s, and he spent 50 years studying this question of